You know, Neeb, of course, current reigning NA North American champion. Kind of seems like he's back in form. You know, it's been a question, I think, for a while for a lot of players is, hey, you know, when is Neeb going to get back into the form that we saw him in like 2017 and 2018 when he was really starting to wreck? Because he's been kind of on and off, you know, between then and now. And it seems like there's been a bit more consistency from him. It seems like everything has kind of started to be on the upswing once again for Neeb, which is always great to see. He's an extremely fun player to watch, and you always love just watching him play well, because when he plays well, he plays well. You know, for instance, like back when he played in the GSL, of course, that was back in the prime. And I think Neeb's kind of starting to reach that level again. As for SCARLETT, of course, took a break, but she's back, full swing, you know, still managing to consistently get top 4s in North America, which is, you know, it's saying something. Scarlett's a gamer girl. That's a real gamer right there. But both these players, of course, considered probably, I would say, alongside Astrea and, you know, maybe Future when he's on a good day, the best in North America at the moment. Going to be facing off here in the winners final. Now, when it comes down to PvZ, the meta has kind of been the same thing for a while. Stargate openings have been all the rage. Sometimes you've seen Protoss mix in a few things. Sometimes you see them mix in an Adept, you know, Glaives build, or just going straight ground to try and in like their best of series. But for the most part, Stargate is kind of the go-to safe standard opener. Neeb as well has been kind of favoring it a lot in the games that I saw during the DreamHack North America event. It did just seem like he was really enjoying going for the Stargate play, especially against Zerg. Now, SCARLETT actually gets in 2 lings here. That's pretty massive. Normally, those 2 lings are not allowed in. But, well, Neeb is not on top of it, and probe is not going to go down, but it's good scouting information right now from SCARLETT. Sees the Stargate, knows exactly what's going on, almost gets a probe there, and an Adept does have to be pulled back. 2 others across the map get nothing done. And it's just a full scout for SCARLETT. This is a great position for the Zerg early on. Now, we did see the gas first go down. And the gas first, it's not really, or not the gas first, but the hatch first onto the 3rd base. And of course that happened because, well, Neeb went for the probe block. That's normal. Everyone goes for probe blocks nowadays, and that's just kind of, because really when you look at it, the probe block, it doesn't take anything away from your build. It doesn't affect you all that much. So there's no reason to not go for it, really. And that's what a lot of Protosses have been realizing. Now, Oracle is going to come in here. Manages to snipe 2 drones. Takes some hull damage, though, which you don't really like to see. Normally you'd want that hull damage to not go quite that far. It's about half the health off the Oracle, but Neeb is just going to pocket that there at the back of the dead airspace. Of course, this map is extremely good for Stargate play because, well, there's so much dead airspace. You have the dead airspace here that you can play with. You have it here outside of the main. Even between the 3rd and the natural, there's dead airspaces. Did see that little stasis trap go, stasis ward go down, but not a lot of damage. And right now, you're just seeing Neeb kind of get into this game. Has the Void Rays on the way, has quickly transitioned this, into more ground-based play. Have Forge and Twilight Council additional gateways coming on the way, so this is not going to be a huge commit to the air army. It is going to be Neeb saying, listen, I don't want to deal with the Roach Queen Walk with just Void Rays. And that's something that a lot of Protosses have been realizing is, you know, it's pretty hard to do. You know, unless your defense is really solid and you've really figured it out, unless you have, you know, something specifically prepared for it. And if the Zerg, you know, messes up a little bit, it's really hard to defend. So a lot of Protosses, I think, have been favoring adding in the ground army a bit sooner to try and deal with that. Now, 7 workers do go down. I think, yeah, the Oracle also dived in there at the same time. Got 2 more worker kills, but majority of the drones going down due to those Adepts. 10 in total going down. It's solid for Neeb. That's, you know, it's damage that you, of course, like to have going down. And behind this, well, Neeb's 3rd base has been completely, you know, uncontested. Oracle still flying around, seeing what they can do. it's not going to be a lot of damage, but you have Scarlett already going to take the 4th base, and, well, it doesn't look like there's going to be a Roach Walk. Oh my god, this Oracle is getting so much value. 8 kills. It has full information around the base. Neeb, control is on point right now. Oh, okay. Wait a second. What? Okay, Scarlett. A 6-minute 30 infestation pit going with the Hydralisk Den. Scarlett looks like she just wants to kind of propel this game straight into the late game. And yeah, you can't really say you blame her. Because right now you have Neeb comfortably on 3 bases, saturated as well, getting into a ground-based army, has Blink +1 on the way, a whole lot of gateways, and the Robo Facility already done. Yeah, this feels like a good position for Neeb. He's going to poke around with this army. It's not an army that's going to kill your opponent, but you're going to see what damage it can get done. And yeah, Scarlett's just going straight into Hive and Lurkers. Wow. This is extremely quick, but it definitely does counter the Stalker-based army. Stalkers do not fare well against Lurkers. Lurkers with that bonus damage versus armor just absolutely shred them. But for now, Scarlett, what army does she have to deal with this Blink Stalker push? It's +1, it's Blink Stalkers and Sentries even for the force field. Scarlett, she's building more Roaches, but right now only has 3 and 4 Ravagers. That is not enough to deal with this army. A nice pullback there by the Stalkers, going to be able to dodge away from a majority of the Corrosive Biles. You also have the Void right here adding in the damage, but now the Roached reinforcements are going to start to come through. 22 on the way, 11 were built before that. Force fields are good, though. They trap the Queens out. They managed to keep the Queens away. Oh, the blink forward from Neeb. He thinks he has a killing blow here. He thinks he just might have found it. Timing. Scarlett was not prepared. And sure, you got Roaches on the way, but the Roaches aren't here, and these Blink Stalkers are being blinked miraculously. So low, it doesn't matter. Ting. Neeb grabs the first game. All right, in the bottom left, once again, it's going to be Scarlett. And in the top right, getting that game 1, Neeb. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yes, Neeb. I love it. This earliest scout, again, of course, this is just for the hatchery block, but says, listen, it's Jaganatha. This map is big. You got to send out that probe a little bit earlier to get that hatch cancel, or the hatch block. And we'll see if there's anything changed, up here from Neeb. But right now, again, just trying to throw off Scarlett, trying to get a bit of that advantage after such a solid game 1. And that's a frustrating game 1 as a Zerg as well. As a Zerg player, it's just something where you look at it and it's just a timing attack that you were not prepared for, that you did not think would hit as strong as it did. You know, +1 Blink Stalkers are efficient, man. And Neeb's control there was not quite flawless, but it was good. It was super solid. So you can't really fault Scarlett there for not having what she needed. But just a little bit late on starting up that round of Roaches. Did drone up just a little bit too far. And that ends up being the downfall of Scarlett in game number 1. That means as we head into game number 2, Jaganatha, as I said, it's a bit of a larger map at first glance. When you're just looking at it, of course, you say, well, this is a very long map. You know, it's obviously going to have a long rush distance. Well, not necessarily. As everyone has talked about, you do have these speed zones. These just speed up your troops. It makes it so that the counterattack speed is immensely quick. If you manage to completely wipe your opponent's army, you can get across the map. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd fastest rush distance in the map pool. Of course, Beckett Industries being the fastest because it's Beckett Industries. But it's still pretty insane. And that just means that this is a map that can be very, very explosive, especially in any matchup involving Zerg. When you're facing off against them, you need to be extremely careful. If Scarlett is able to, you know, if for instance, if Neeb goes for a similar timing attack again, where he has Blink, has the +1, but this time Scarlett has an extra round of Roaches and Lings, well, and she manages to completely collapse on it before it starts to, you know, snowball too far, and she clears up the army, that could just be game ending with how easy it is for then Scarlett to transition that across the map. So we'll have to see. Once again, Neeb is going to be going for the Stargate play. We'll have to see if he... I'll be interested to see if he dives a bit more into it than he did last game. Because, of course, last game, it was very much just, hey, I'm going to build Oracle, I'll have a Void Ray for defense, but that's it. And usually, with only one Void Ray, there is a bit of an opening where the Zerg can get damage done, but I think SCARLETT expected it to be more committed to the Stargate play. Because she didn't really push out, had the Roaches ready, but just took the 4th and was going straight into Lurkers. So perhaps realized that the timing was kind of closing where she could attack after she realized that he was immediately transitioning into the ground army. Was like, all right, I'm just going to macro up, go into Hive, see what I can get done. And then that just ended up not really working out for having enough units to defend. We'll have to see, though, as in this game, you are going to be having, the Void Ray first. Should be an Oracle to follow up, but as I said, this might just be a single Void Ray. Neeb already getting into that Robo Facility and going to be adding on his additional gas. So we'll have to see. This might just be another game where Neeb says, listen, I'm getting the Void Ray for defense because Void Ray is good unit. And, well, it's one of the best defensive units that Protoss has available to them in the early game. And then immediately just start transitioning that into Blink Stalkers or maybe even Charge Lot Immortal Archon, which has, I think, kind of lost popularity as of recent. It used to be the go-to for any Protoss in this matchup. Just go for that Death Volley Protoss army that you can counterattack with easily with Charge Lots and take the fight at the front with really efficient units. We'll have to see, though. Neeb not going to be adding on another Void Ray just yet. We'll have to see if that comes in production, but no, it's just going to be the immediate Immortal, and the Void Ray is going to be the harassment tool. No Oracle this time. Focusing down a drone, though. Hey, that's, it's definitely something. And Neeb going to be looking to take that 4th base at the same time. So, yeah, this is just immediate. Oh, okay. I was going to say, this is immediately into the ground army from Neeb, and I was wondering, because he didn't really have the minerals to take this 4th base. It should be going down now, but Neeb is preparing for a very, very potent timing attack. It's 4 more gateways going down. That's going to be a total of 6 with Immortals, with sentries being warped in. And Neeb's going to try and attack here sometime soon before SCARLETT is ready. But SCARLETT, Morlings on the way, actually has Roaches being produced as well. Has she read this? She may have an inkling of what's going on, because yeah, that's 8 Roaches in production, so I think SCARLETT has an idea that because she saw how late the Nexus timing was, usually for Protoss that Nexus goes down around 4 minutes, if you're going for a fast 3rd base, but Neeb was delayed on that. His Nexus didn't go down until about 4:45. I think SCARLETT just kind of realized, hey, that's a bit later than usual. That means you're doing something behind this. You have additional buildings going down that I am not able to scout, so she's building extra units, she's staying on 3 bases, and now scouts out the sentries, the Immortals, or the Immortal, and the Stalkers. This is a push from Neeb, but SCARLETT is so prepared for this. Yeah, I don't see this working for Neeb. There's not a lot of DPS in this army. We'll have to see as here comes the surround. Speedlings just get around this army so quick. Corrosive Biles immediately eliminating 1 sentry. Another one, it's not going to fall just yet, but the immediate collapse, all the sentries go down. It's just the Immortal, and that Immortal is going to die too. SCARLETT just has a complete read on what this was. And Neeb, you can't push this anymore. That's all of the tech from Neeb that is gone. That is all the sentries, that is all the Immortal. That's all the Immortal. The 1 Immortal is gone. What does Neeb have? Well, he has Stalkers now, and SCARLETT just swells up in army supply, not even saturating the 3rd base. A complete read on what Neeb was trying to do. She's going to collapse here. Manages to not get those 2 Stalkers. A good recall in time, but this 3rd base, I do not see this surviving. There's not a lot here for Neeb to try and hold on. And, well, these lanes going to get a full surround on the sentries. That's absolutely massive. The Void Ray is going to do its best to try and stop these units from getting damage done, but that 3rd base is forfeit. SCARLETT, let's see what more damage she can get done. She may even be able to end the game. You just see Lings on that production tab going to be rolling through. GG, Neeb does not have enough. The build was red, and SCARLETT gets the win. In the bottom right, it's going to be your blue Zerg. She is SCARLETT. Oh. And in the bottom left, from Ting. First game played immaculately. That second game, well, that timing attack didn't exactly work out. SCARLETT had the read all the way. It's Neeb. All right. Blackburn. This is an interesting map. It's Blackburn, it's a bit harder to make those timing attacks work. So I doubt we'll see the same build from SCARLETT. I think in part that build was like, it was a response build. It was saying, listen, your third base is late. There's something going on here where there's a lot of money being spent that I can't see, and that money was for more gateways. So SCARLETT has the right read, just goes straight into into unit production, doesn't even build any more workers, and is able to crush it. But I do think that was just a solid timing anyway from SCARLETT if you want to try and break down the third base. You have a lot of roaches, you're going to have a lot of lings and Ravagers, and that's a lot more efficient against the Gateway army than just roaches. So I think a bit of adaptation from game one, a good read from SCARLETT, and she's able to dismantle Neeb in that game too, sends us to the ace match. And now winner of this goes on to the grand finals. Of course, the loser will drop down, I believe, to face Astrea in the lower finals, the losers finals. Yeah, we'll have to see. Same builds as last game, of course. Had the hatch block come through. On Blackburn, it's not as big of a deal, the hatch block, just because of how the bases are laid out. Usually on maps with these kind of straight line, main natural third, that hatch block, it's really has a less of an impact just because it's really not that much farther for the drones to go. It's a bit further, it's a bit annoying, but it's not as serious as on other maps where the third is down a ramp, around a bend, and, down to old Granny Smith's house. So I don't imagine this is going to affect SCARLETT too much. You already see that Neeb is just harassing with his probe, as he has done every game, just trying to, stop SCARLETT from getting fully efficient mining. It's something that in lower leagues doesn't really matter, but when you get up to players of this caliber, just stopping your opponent from having as many minerals, because a few of their drones retarget onto other mineral patches, it can be a pretty big advantage, which is one of the crazy things about StarCraft 2. Neeb going to be going for the exact same opening as he has every single game. There is the Stargate. And again, we'll have to see. Blackburn is a much safer map, just because it does have this ramp into the natural and so much dead airspace around it. This might be the map where Neeb says, hey, listen, I actually might just go into the Stargate play, because 2 games in a row, what he's done is he's gone Stargate, gone with a Void Ray early, and then immediately gone into a ground army. So this might be the game where you switch it up. This might be the game where you say, hey, I'm going to add on my second Stargate. I'm going to continue with that Void Ray production and get into carriers even, maybe. So we'll have to see if that's what Neeb decides to do. I think this is the map to do it of any, and Neeb has shown a propensity to like the Stargate play on this map, past this initial Void Ray. We'll have to see. That is a second gateway going down. However, there is no additional tech just yet. Oracle immediately started up as well, so a bit more committed than what we saw in game one, because of course Neeb not to be preparing for a massive timing attack like in that game, inhibitor zone, sorry. Stopping the Lings from getting us around on the Adepts, who do just shade on out. But yeah, we'll have to see. If a Twilight Council does end up being popped down, or that Robo Facility, of course that is rather indicative of this going into a ground army. But so far, none of that coming out. Neeb placing down the third base has the gas available, and we'll have to see if this is another Void Ray. I think that'll be pretty telling of what Neeb wants to go into. No, it's a second Oracle. Still keeping with the Stargate play. Neeb, which is, I think this is the cool thing about Neeb, is that even though this is kind of the same build every game, he's still switching it up a decent bit. One game he goes Oracle into Void Ray. Next game he goes Void Ray only. Now Void Ray, and it's going to be into double Oracle here to try and harass. Oracle goes in, doesn't get much damage done, immediately shoved away. And SCARLETT's defense, very, very solid, and already has the Roach Warren started as well. But there we go. Twilight Council and Forge, so Neeb not going to be building any more air units for the time being. Now, of course, the advantage of having 2 Oracles over 1, alongside just having extra Revelation energy available to you, as you see, just a tag going down there onto Queens, is that you can one-shot those drones. Because Revelation is so cheap, you still have a lot of energy on both these Oracles, and if they do decide to come in, they can get a lot of damage. Now, I do believe that was 2 Adepts heading into the third, get 3 drone kills, but immediately here come the other 2. The Lings are here to clean it up. Oracle's going to go in so much damage they can get done, but the Spore Crawler forces them away. 3 drones killed, gonna make it a bit more. Here comes the double taps from the Oracles, and oh my god, it's so much damage. 9 drones going down. You can see how quickly they shred through those worker lines, both of them not even taking that much hull damage, perfectly controlled by Neeb. Despite the fact that it looked bad, all the adepts do get cleaned up, and I believe that should be, yeah, a total of 4. The oracles are still alive. You still get 9 drone kills on the back of an adept, and yeah, Neeb's just gonna go with more adepts. He's gonna say, it's not done. I am not over with this pressure. Has the 3rd base ready. Void Ray for defense. SCARLETT, though, is gonna go into a little bit of a different response here. It's not just gonna be roaches. It's not just gonna be Hydralisk with lurkers. No, it is going to be the Spire. Let's see how well this does. That's a massive drone transfer. Neeb might be able to catch it as, oh, this is beautiful. The adepts go in, and so do the oracles. Oh, 1 more drone won't go down, but another 9 kills. 18 drones have fallen. Neeb, incredibly efficient here with this pressure. SCARLETT has not been able to make any army. Has not really been able to do anything aside from just re-drone up, and that means that Neeb's 3rd base is completely uncontested. This oracle play looks so solid. We'll have to see what SCARLETT does. She doesn't have a lot of money for air units, which is the crazy part. Even though the Spire has been put down, I mean, look at that mineral count. It's 700 gas. There's no minerals, though, for SCARLETT. She's had to build a bunch of roaches here. It's just going into +1 and glial reconstitution. Can't help but feel like Neeb right now in a wonderful position, only sitting down 4 supply. And that's not like 4 army supply. No, that's 4 supply in total. Neeb, you know, with these roaches coming out, of course, it will start to inflate SCARLETT's supply quite a bit, but yeah, Neeb's gonna be in a wonderful spot. +1 flyer attacks is on the way, but there are no Mutalisks for SCARLETT. You know, you have 11 roaches and 10 Zerglings on the way, because guess what? Well, Neeb's ready for the attack. He has Blink, he has +1, he still has 2 oracles. SCARLETT does not have time to go for Mutalisks, and I'm not sure if this +1 air attacks is really gonna have time to finish up. Here comes the engage from SCARLETT, trying to dive on this army before it is connected, and we'll be able to pick off a few stalkers, but now you're gonna be sandwiched. There are still a Void Ray and 2 oracles getting damage done. I don't know if this is the fight for SCARLETT. I think Neeb just has enough to kind of run over this with the blinks. Does lose all of his stalkers there on the left side, but now he can just blink on top of it. The army supply, it's a bit, it lies a bit. The Roach Ravager is not very efficient in trading out, and there's still 10 in that, you know, in the production tab. The blink backs are amazing. SCARLETT, she has only queens and a few roaches left. I don't think this was the hold. And Neeb, he just has so much. GG, Neeb, 2-1. SCARLETT took too much damage, and Neeb goes on to the grand finals. Wow.